uh, last live of this week about a castle in the past, okay? I hope you are so good and you will see how much interesting uh, is this chapter about how a statement of gospel that ever this writer posted in all chapter, how this statement have function in all occasion in each chapter. Let me post here in English, and I hope you like this. There is a 13th chapter. I did not come to bring peace but division. It's a statement from Jesus Christ. Let me turn off other light here. And the history here is a good history. This chapter is so interesting. Don't think that I have come to bring peace to the earth. I have not come to bring peace, but a sword. For I have come to set a man against his father, and a daughter against her mother, and a daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law, and a man's enemies will be those of his own household. Matthew chapter 10, verses 34 to 36. And pay attention. Jesus Christ never said something that was wrong. But we can interpret this of all forms, unimaginable, but unimaginable. But I think this is our saying to us that in our house we will return, in our family, with some enemies from past, because we can walk to the future lest the past wrong without resolution. Then is this. Think about those time of Jesus Christ were in middle of us. Think that people was so much ignorant, and she came to say about explanations of all this creature, because this he said this. Don't think I will come so confirmation with all your past that you know is this. And teenagers ever have interest in knowledge, new knowledge. Teenagers is so interested in learn, not how the parents there maybe are old and don't have the custom to make this in life. It's about this, and all teenagers understand this. All teenagers will understand what Christ are saying. Don't think that I have come to bring peace to the earth. I have not come to bring peace, but a sword, for I have come to set a man against his father. Sorry to hide my voice, but have people talking exactly in my door. Okay, sorry. See this. Against her mother-in-law, and daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law, and a man as enemy will be those of his own household. It's a bit from this that this tests are saying, okay? And I will read the chapter, you will understand more or less the situation. And here have an explanation about it from Gospel, from the Spiritism. Taken literally, these words would tend to transform Jesus' mission entirely one of peace into one of disturbance and discord. An absurd consequence that common sense rejects, since Jesus could not contradict himself. Every new idea necessarily encounters opposition. Every new idea that was in those times and still now, every new idea necessarily encounter opposition, and none is implanted without struggle. Because this, I see, this have so much to teenagers. Now, in these cases, resistance is always proportional. See this, proportional to the importance of the expected results. Because the greater is this, the more numerous are the interests in effects. Interests in effects. The more numerous are the interests in effects. God Gospel according to Spiritism, chapter 23, items 9 and 12. For the materialistic man with a thirst of power and excessive pride, there is no limit that can stop him. He is capable of using the noblest justifications to hide the real interests of the soul, is still captive to ancestral animality. And for years on end, he has fought using the shield of the representation of God on earth, molding it to his liking, doubting inwardly the real existence of his Creator, who is present and every moment in his deepest consciousness. There comes a day when, faced with reality, he turns back repentant and willing to retrace the tortuous path in which he led his brothers astray and betrayed his essence as a creature destined for true happiness. God is wise and allows free will, which he provides to his creature, and the chance to, after the true struggle with his own primitive essence, to place oneself before the Creator like the prodigal son, ready to follow his true path in eternity as heir to divine happiness. And so it was decreed by the king that the lord of the castle should annex the neighboring fiefdom, extending to it all his administration, which made him the best feudal lord in the region. In another chapter, I read that the fiefdom have an invasion from a bad visitor that was only creating those places confusion, and made those fiefdom in a fiefdom of people that committed injuries to people from Inquisition. Have a real, the neighbor of this fiefdom have jealousy from the success and prosperity of this fiefdom, and prepare another spy person to create this confusion. And it would be, if this spy got this, it would be so difficult to king that knew that had druids in those fiefdom. The king of England knew this, but it would be so difficult to king of England defend these people if those spy of neighboring, jealousy neighboring, prove this. Then the situation was resolved by expertise of druids, expertise of Eleba was a priestess of druids that perceived bad intention from those men around this fiefdom. And finally, and with great lucky and helped from druids, all situation was resolved in favor from this owner of the good fiefdom with druids, because they put the trap against of the jealousy owner of other fiefdom. Then there comes a day when, faced with reality, he turns back repentant and willing to retrace the tortuous path in which he led his brothers astray and betrayed his essence as a creator. No, it's not this. Also, so it was decreed by the king that the lord of the castle should annex the neighboring fiefdom, extending to it all his administration, which made him the best feudal lord in the region. In the neighboring fiefdom, everyone was happy, for they already knew of his fame as a great administrator and a man who knew how to divide the gain in a way that did not make his colonists feel exploited or leave them destitute. They also knew of the presence of the druids, as did the king. They also knew of the presence of the druids, as did the king of England. However, in the imminent threat of heresy, the king could not interfere. Therefore, he allowed the presence of the inquisitor, who was not very calm, for he admired the Lord's talent in commanding so many farmers. During the first weeks of integration of the two five dons, the divine during the first weeks of in hello, how are you? And during the first weeks of integration of the two fiefdoms, the dividing fences were removed by the king's representatives. And thus all the villagers now formed a single community. What marvelous. Now everyone could meet, participate in the festivities that their relatives told them about, and that they also wanted to participate in. But the old Lord severed any friendly relations with the fiefdom. He envied, and forbade, under penalty of death, any villager from neighbor who participated in any of that celebration in the neighboring fiefdom while he ruled it. Now the two fiefdoms turn only one, and all people that have family in two neighbors are now united. Some families didn't wish to participate, some families don't wanted participated in such events in the prosperous fiefdom, despite the anger and misery that their former lord imposed upon them as a result of the exploitation to which they were subject. Still this, some families didn't wish to participate in this union of two fiefdoms. They wished to remain in hardship and not mix with people who insisted on conversing with their dead. Those family was how to say in the start of the chapter, don't think that I have come to bring peace on the earth. Is behavior some families have sense with this statement from Jesus Christ. Because preconcept created by church in those epoch is still a bishop and a priest of church talked with his familiars that too, because this bishop said this to the owner of castle, and all people in this fiefdom knew this. Had members in church in those epoch that talked to with his family's dead spirits, but he don't recommend it. Population make this, and families of other fiefdom don't like this. They don't accept the union of two fiefdom with druids. They go out and left some sons and nephews. They left back and go out. Is what the statement start in this chapter said. Don't think that I have come to bring peace on the earth. Is some of this. And we will hear more about it. Some families did not wish to participate in such events in the prosperous fiefdom cause this preconcept and great horror to Inquisition. Some families, they knew it was forbidden by the church. Although the king was also aware of the fact, and despite this, he didn't intervene for the held the Druids in high esteem, whom he could count on in several battles. Because this, the king have confidence in Druids, king of England. Some families they knew it was forbidden by the church. The families knew this, although the king was also aware of the fact. And despite this, he didn't intervene for the held the Druids in high esteem, whom he could count on in several battles, where they assisted the King of England with strategies. The Druids in those epochs was in the same place of real people of the king. The king word, Druids, are in the same level, not this way with the population, no. They have great account with the kingdom of England. See this? But they are ever they are forbidden. They are ever not forbidden. They are ever hiding in such a way, because Druids don't like it appear, because they saw the dangers of this. Then they accepted be hiding, but they ever consider in level of people from the kingdom, because they have great power. They had great power. They wished to remain in hardship and not mix with people who insisted on conversing with their dead. This was the family, it's not this, sorry. They wished, let me see entire paragraph. Some families didn't wish to participate in such events. Families that go out of the fiefdom and don't accept to fiefdom in such events in the prosperous fiefdom, despite the hunger and misery that their former lord imposed upon them as a result of the exploitation to which they were subject. They wished to remain in hardship and not mix with people who insisted on conversing with their dead. This was preconcept to Druids. It was not bad thing, but they consider cause preconcept. They knew it was forbidden by the church, although the King of England was also aware of the fact. And despite this, he didn't intervene for the held the Druids in high esteem. One he could count on in several battles where they assisted him with strategies, revealing crucial facts that could undermine the defenses of the enemies that England would have to face countless times. Then Druids are ever together with kingdoms, helping them to some facts and strategies to England gain the battles. And in truth, some families prefer to live rather than live with and close their eyes to the events that greatly disturbed them, leaving behind children, nephews, and other relatives who longed to be part of all that material and spiritual abundance alongside the Druids, having them parents that go out of the five tone and left back, let me see this part, leaving behind children, nephews, and other relatives that wanted to be near Druids, that wanted to participate of those great prosperous places, and prosperous in knowledge too. In truth, some families prefer to live rather than live with and close their eyes to the events that greatly disturb them. Then this mind of these people that go out of the five tone don't have conditions to understand this. People talk with people that for them was so strange this. But they don't have courage to denounce to church. They don't make this. They go out. It was good. They also wished to know more about the world. These parents that stay and other relatives, children, nephews, and other relatives, they want to be part of all that material and spiritual abundance alongside the Druids. They also wished to know more about the world there because deep down they felt that one life was not enough to learn. They were minds eager for progress and study. These people stayed and integrated perfectly into the healthy and harmonious life that took place in those parts. Among them was Ingrid's future husband. Ingrid was the little child that liked so much fight with animals, and the future husband of this Ingrid was among all these people that prefer stay together in five tone. A spirit, this husband, future husband, was a spirit already with a certain level of evolution, who had been a mathematician. Then, when the writer posted it and more informations, I was search in those epochs who was the famous mathematicians, more or less in those 1 cycle before. And I searched this. Euclid of Alexandria, from Egyptian Alexandria, was one of the most prominent mathematicians of antiquity. He is known for his mathematical treatise, The Elements, which let me see if I can. I only correct a bit, yes. Continue saying to you what I said when the writer started to talk and had informations. I was made a research and I encountered this. Euclid of Alexandria, the elements which in the most enduring mathematical work of all time is still used today. Little is known about Euclid's life. Obtaining information about it is very difficult due to the large number of occurrences of this name in the literature of the time. From what we do now, it can be mentioned that he taught mathematics in Alexandria, Egypt, and it is likely that this mathematical training took place at the Platonic school in Athens and ancient Greece. His masterpiece, The Elements, is a compilation of all mathematical knowledge up to that time and became part of mathematics education for 2,000 years. The work is divided into 13 books. The first 6 deal with elementary plane geometry. The next 3 are on number theory. Book 10 on irrational numbers, and the last 3 deal with spatial geometry. Was a man of other planet, was a genius in those times. He was a druid too. It's what come to my mind when I again read this information. Was probably a druid incarnated to all this knowledge in those times that don't ever nothing of this. See this? The work is divided, I read. This work is an example of clarity in the way of theorems are stated and proven. The high level of rigor employed and the axiomatic method developed because an indispensable focus for the inventors of calculus many centuries later. Besides The Elements, Euclid wrote other works including calculus, including data, where he presents 94 propositions regarding various properties of geometric figures. See this? Division of the figures, where we can find ways to divide figure into two parts with their areas representing a given ratio, where we can find ways, given ratio optics, where he presents the first Greek work on perspective and phenomena, which is an elementary introduction to astronomy. It's believed, however, that Euclid authored numerous other works that have been lost over the years. One of the most significant would be Euclid's prisms. The term prism derived from a Greek word meaning means of obtaining. Other lost works include conics, elements of music, pseudaria, and lossy of surfaces. Euclid's died in Alexandria, leaving an unparalleled contribution to development of mathematics. And see what the writer talk about it. This I was search about a great mathematician, more or less in those 1,000 years before. Despite his small size, Eustachius showed himself. No. All this was very clear to the Druids. No. Here. Among them was Ingrid's future husband, a spirit already with a certain level of evolution who had been a mathematician. This I search Euclid, a greater in past. In previous lives, today he was interested in everything that happened in nature, particularly the sky and the stars. He had been abandoned by his family, who would not be able to support him since his fate was uncertain, and they already had 3 very young children. One they were already overly concerned about. Eustachius, those names that writer gave to him in those incarnations after in past he was a mathematician. Eustachius, who stayed with his aunt Brianna's family. Brianna was dead, and his husband suicided cause won't meet Brianna's family. Spent his childhood exploring certain areas of knowledge with the Druids. Eustachius, who stayed with renowned Brianna's family, spent his childhood exploring certain areas of knowledge with the Druids he knew. They limited themselves to answering his childish questions. Childish questions, recognizing in the boy a great scholar from past eras. The Druids recognizing in him the old Euclid's mathematician in past eras. As he matured, they began to teach him how the stars were never still and that they moved as did the earth, due the magnetic field that surrounded all the stars and itself. The circle is the most perfect form, symbolizing infinity and the perfection of God. They told the boy, by the law of attraction, they said everything revolves like a top that spins around itself and others that attract it. All this was very clear to Druids, and it became clear to Eustaquio as well. In that incarnation, he was preparing to be reborn as an astronomer in a future era, where he would give great impetus to this much needed science, proving that no matter how much man explores the universe, he cannot foresee its limits. Other day, in live from Kardec about God, I was saying this. He cannot foresee its limits, the man, about the universe. And have other point here. The bit note, the Elements is still considered by many mathematicians to be the best book ever produced. More than 1,000 editions have been produced since its first publication in 1482, and 1482 is the year. The first publication of this mathematic book from Euclides. Despite his small size, Eustaquio, that probably was Euclid in other incarnation, showed himself averse to any idea that would force his mind to remain speculative and prevent him from questioning. The real reason his parents had left him with his aunt was, in essence, his persistent speculation. Only scientists have this. His persistent speculation about everything which bothered the family too much. One day, as everyone was leaving for Sunday at the Manor Chapel, Eustaque, very upset, asked why they should go to a place where someone detected how they should behave. And worse, a place where they said that God was good and that we should never doubt his existence for fear of suffering in the fires of hell. And worse, a place where they said that God was good and that we should never doubt his existence for fear of suffering in the fires of hell. In Bible, have this statement, but not to have worry, to suffering, cause God, but substitute the word God for law. Then I will make the phrase again. Not the phrase of book, the phrase that other woman said to substitute in Old Testament. In search, they said, God was good and that we should never doubt his existence for fear of suffering the fires of hell. And now substitute this word, God, for law. The law was good and that we should never doubt his existence for the fear of suffering and the fires of hell. The law of cause and effect. No, not by God. God don't make bad to no one. But the law will concert what we are making wrong. But Eustáquio was repeating what people in church said to him. In his childish mind, Eustáquio wondered how one could believe a man saying that another being had placed him there in front of the church, dictating rules that we should believe without being able to question them. What kind of reasoning could that be? And if God was good, what would he created a hell in those apples? He questioning this. Why would he create a hell where he would put those who questioned him? All this was hot in mind of Eustáquio. His family never got to understand this child. Who could say that the man at the front wasn't lying or mistaken? These questions greatly disturbed his parents, who didn't understand how a child could ask such questions that made them think. See how it was difficult a life of people that have a mind so millions of years in front where he is. It's a suffering and in a mission, but it's not easy. It's how to us returning to the 1 year of Christ, the first one, year one, and try to say to all people, all these things we have, all how much science evolved, how much medicine resolved all problems, they would think that we were a crazy people. And maybe we'll made a little fire to came our body, to burn our body, Who could say that the man at the front wasn't lying or mistaken in church? These questions greatly disturbed his parents, who didn't understand how a child could ask such questions that made them think. They wanted to think about it, principally causing Inquisition. For this reason, they choose little Eustachy to stay with Hinaud's family, who welcomed him with a great joy, this boy. His cousins were the children of Brianna, Marcaligus' wife, who had committed suicide. Marcaligus appeared a Greek name. His cousins were the children of Brianna, Marcaligus' wife, who had committed suicide, Marcaligus, after losing Brianna very recently. One of Brianna's children was Irina, a friend of Ingrid, and by Irina, Ingrid knew Eustachio, his future husband. He was a source of comfort to his cousins, Eustachio. He was a source of comfort of his cousins, who dedicated themselves to raising him in the best way possible. For Eustachio, it was a joy, as he grew up with a free and speculative mind, receiving answers that further fueled his questioning scientific spirit. The Druids passed on to him many ways to admire divine creation. Making him understand that we can only increase our knowledge of God by studying nature and how it multiplies, how nature multiplies and reacts in contact with other beings. This means that we, in contact with animals, with nature, we can help all this evolve and multiplicate. Can you understand the importance of this? The Druids passed it on to him many ways to admire divine creation, making him understand that we can only increase our knowledge of God by studying nature and how it multiplies and reacts in contact with other beings. The nature reacts and multiplies in contact with other beings. Because this we say today, cows playing ball, bulls too, elephants playing with his toys, giant toys. Is this when man start to only want it, the inferior brothers, inferior not pejorative way, but they can understand all things how we can. They can, sorry, cause they have limited of this. But this don't turn him come as a food, cause they are their evoluted. This limit of evolution from each species have a motive. is a divine organization, okay? It's not pejorative, this. It's only a fact, scientific fact. But this limit don't turn them incapable to have knowledge a bit in contact with us. Is this. See the panthers with his owners that take care of them to conservation. See how is different his behaviors. Is completely different of a animal only left in a savage forest. Is different, totally different. See the fish, when he understands you are there, he left. You can create the link with a fish. I made this one day. I have a fish that I never forgot him. And he started to be in high place in water to see me. He knew how I arrived in my house and gave food to him. He left, I passed my hand in his body. He was my friend in those epochs, nor a dog I had. And he lived only 3 years. I don't know if a fish live more than this, but I have how to change the water of him. I learned this. I create a link with this fish. Is this that Druids said? They explain to this older mathematician that making him understand that we can only increase our knowledge of God by studying nature and how it multiplies and reacts in contact with other beings. They gave wings to Aztec's imagination so that he himself could reach certain conclusions already matured in his scientific spirit, not mind, spirit. And so time passed in those parts where everyone could find solace and the will to grow and prosper each day. And this is final of the chapter, not from this history. The history continue, I think, more 5 chapters or less. I don't remember. And I hope you feel how much magic is this world, how much magic is imagined those places with harmony, full of prosperity, full of justice, full of magic, full of people that loved God. Really, much more than the priests in those places interest in catch people to put in a fire. That is people. Then it was one more chapter from one castle in the past. I remember the first time I received this book, all my garden I felt was full of magic creators, and around me were so greatly lucky and so beautiful creatures I was felt near me. And is a magical book, is a poetic book, is a philosophic book that show us that it's possible when we have love, justice, and good mind, and accept all differences, we can live in peace, in harmony, and prosperity. Is this book to represent to me? And how Eleba said, in those epochs, she was capable to see the future, that one day a new knowledge would start from those places near our friends, I think, because Pfeifferton was enormous. And new our friends would start a new era, turn good all things that people changed in name of Jesus without right to make this. And I think this will remit to Spiritism. Then have a good final weekend with magic, with peace, love, and good thoughts. Is this? I don't can identify no one of you, but I am so grateful to your presence here. I don't know if you, I don't know from what you are from. I don't know if you talk Portuguese. I made a live in Portuguese about this chapter, okay? I hope you can read this tomorrow. And have a nice night. Thank you, your presence. God bless all.